Today, we're watching some Donald Trump, alright? It's been long overdue on this channel. Now, there's always these libtards, like Libtard Lucy, who's gonna say, like the female philosopher. That sounds like an amazing title, you know? It sounds like a recipe for great success, right? Doesn't it? And then they're like, well, you do know, Donald Trump commits a lot of logical fallacies. Donald Trump is actually pretty stupid. But the truth is, Trump is a master of persuasion because he understands the average person. Yes, he does commit a lot of logical fallacies. Yes, he does use simple language. But that's how the average person, that's how humans are designed to think. Humans naturally are irrational. Okay? Relatively speaking, amongst other humans, amongst other creatures, obviously, we're the most rational. But anyways, let's just get right into it. Libtard Lucy's gonna cry her eyes out. We don't care.
One of the reasons Mr. Trump is
gonna watch Trump dominate Jeb the Cuck.
They like the fact that he is not bought and paid for by wealthy donors. Mr. Trump has repeatedly said that the $100 million you've raised for your campaign makes you a puppet for your donors. Are you?
No, absolutely not. People are supporting me because I have a proven
Listen carefully.
conservative leadership, where I cut taxes $19 billion over 8 years. We shrunk the state government workforce. We created a climate that led the nation in job growth 7 out of 8 years. We were one of 2 states to go to AAA bond rating. People know that we need principle-centered leadership, a disruptor to go to Washington, D.C.
All right, so he's about to attack Trump, but first let's break this down. Okay, this is how you've been told. This is how society is told. This is how school has told you to persuade people. You get up on stage. Guys, my state hit AAA bond rating. Do you even know what that means? Do you think the average person knows what that means? I know what that means. That's because I'm a nerd at heart, okay? I'm the greatest fusion of all time, okay? Aside from Jesus being man and God, okay? I can't really compete with that. But in terms of just us lowly mere humans, I'm the greatest combination. I'm a G and a nerd. I'm a nerd at heart. I was a nerd for a very long time, but I also have the G mindset. This is better than all the other people, because all the other people, like, they're just a G, they have the G mindset, but they're not that smart, so it doesn't really work out that well. Then you have the nerds, who are smart, who do know a lot of facts, but they're kind of like, oh, well, actually, they don't understand the facts of the universe. Jeb Bush is an example of a nerd, and all the nerds like, wow, that was a very well-articulated point. And you know what, maybe in a formal debate, that would be a good point. But trying to get votes from the average person, trying to get votes from the general population, that was an awful answer. Very well put together, it was very formal, but the problem is, it's not persuasive. Okay, you're told just to list off accolades. Well, I did this, I did this, I did this, I did this. Philosophically, logically, that makes sense. But like we said, that's not how humans think. AAA bond rating. No one understands what that means. Okay, so the average person, most people, the only message they got from Jeb Bush is like, well, he accomplished a bunch of stuff, but I don't really understand what it means, so I'm just going to move on. That's the average person's response to Jeb, okay? And Trump is going to be a very good example in this interaction of how to actually persuade people. So we're going to watch Jeb the Cuck try and take down Trump.
That I know of that tried to get me to change my views on something that was generous and gave me money was Donald Trump. He wanted casino gambling in Florida.
I did.
Yes, you did.
Totally false.
You wanted it, and you didn't get it because I was
it.
opposed to casino gambling before, during, and after. And that's not. I'm not going to be bought by anybody.
I promise. If I wanted it, I would have gotten it.
No way, man.
So far, Trump has already done a better job because logically, all the nerds, my inner nerd is saying this. Libtard Lucy is saying this. The female philosopher. Well, you know, Jem put together a very well put together argument, but Trump just said, if I wanted, I would have gotten it. That's begging the question. You're starting off, you're just assuming the truth of your conclusion with the first premise. How can that work? It does, because that sounds cool. If I wanted, I would have gotten it. That sounds cool. That's what persuades people, not this, oh, we went to AAA bond rating.
Believe me.
Nope.
I know my people.
I know my people. Not a very logical point, but persuasive. It's cool.
Is there anything else you want to say about this?
No, I just will tell you that, you know, Jeb made the statement. I'm not only referring to him. A lot of money was raised by a lot of different people that are standing up here. And the donors, the special interests, the lobbyists have very strong power over these people. I'm spending all of my money. I'm not getting any. I turned down so much. I could have right now from special interests and donors, I could have double and triple what he's got. I've turned it down. I've turned down last week $5 million from somebody. So I will tell you,
And notice how Trump, this is another facet of persuasion, not necessarily on the list, but I'm just going to point it out. Look at his body language. Very large hand motions. Very well put together hand motions. His hand motions matches his speech. Jeb, I mean, his body language was so...
Because I have a proven record of conservative
Like, it's just,
leadership. Where I cut taxes,
that was gay. That's little.
$19 billion
Move
over
more.
8 years. We shrunk the state government workforce. We created a climate
Do it like
that
this,
led the
not like
nation in
that.
job growth 7 out of 8 years. We were one of 2 states to go to AAA bond rating.
Like, look at his hand
We need
motions. Okay, that was the only good one.
leadership, a disruptor to go to Washington, D.C. The one guy that's
Not
You see, his hand motions are so small, and then you look at Trump.
opposed.
promise, if
Look.
I wanted it, I would have gotten it.
No way, man.
Believe me.
Nope.
is there any
But I'm not only. I just will tell you that Jeb made.
He takes up more
I'm not only
space.
referring to him. A lot of
Boom.
money was raised by a lot of different
Boom.
people that are standing up here.
That's
and
he's taking up
he
more
goes,
space.
he's
This is
special
more
interest
persuasive. This
lobbyists.
garners respect. The way you persuade people is by, as a man, is being respected. Being respected will lead to people doing what you say. Okay, not
strong power
no.
over
Oh
these
well,
people.
I think
I'm
I hit
spending all
AAA.
my
I hit
money,
AAA
I'm
bond rating.
spending-
Shut up,
I'm not getting any. I turned
libtard
down.
Lucy.
I
Oh well,
turned
actually, his
down
point is more
so much.
philosophically
I could have
compelling. Shut up.
Right now, from special interests and donors, I could have double and triple what he's got.
And points at
Turned
him.
it down. I
Turned it
turned
down.
down last week.
When Jeb pointed out Trump, did he point to him? No, he said, "Well, Trump had special interests." No, and then he says, "No. Oh well, this guy, I could have had way more than he did." And he points at him straight up. This is very persuasive.
$5 million from somebody. So I will tell you,
Our biological brain, our primal brains are looking at this like Trump is the dominant male here. I know this is, oh, well, it's red pill cringe. I don't care, libtard Lucy or libtard Matthew, Cornelius, silly Billy, whoever you are. I don't care. It's true. Our brains are designed to listen to and follow dominant men.
I understand the game.
Okay.
I've been on the other side.
The
all of my
alpha,
life,
quote unquote, so to
and
speak.
They have a lot of control over our politicians. And I don't say that favorably. And I'm not sure if there's another system, but I say this. I am not accepting any money from anybody. Nobody has control of me other than the people of this country.
Governor,
I'm going to do
look,
the
I
right
mean-
thing.
I'm going to do the right thing. Politicians and other nerds, they don't use that type of language. Because, again, the nerd side is like, well, just because you say, I'm going to do the right thing, what is the right thing? Can you please provide a standard for what is right or wrong? Can you please support your point? Can you please not beg the question when you say, I'm going to do the right thing? Can you, well, what is the right thing? Can you elaborate more? Shut up, nerd. I'm talking to my younger self. Nerd. That's not how people think. This is much like how with women you're supposed to be mysterious, right? They talk about that all the time, and it's true. With women, you don't want to just give up the whole, and you don't want to let the cat out of the bag, so to speak. You don't want to just spill your guts. You want to leave some mystery. Why? Because the way humans think, if they have a positive opinion of you, which with Trump, just his body language alone and his presence will give subconsciously, maybe not consciously, but like, he's so arrogant, he's so bad, but subconsciously, they have a positive opinion of him. Subconsciously, if they say something like, I'm going to do the right thing, they're going to fill in the gap for Trump. That's how brains work. Brains don't immediately think, oh, well, he needs to support his point. No, they think, well, I'm going to fill the gap. And if it has a positive opinion, in which with Trump, his presence gives people a positive opinion subconsciously, they're going to fill it in with something positive. I'm going to do the right thing. Well, I don't like abortion, so he's going to help get Roe v. Wade overturned or something like that. That could be an example of what your brain might connect one-to-one with. Right? Put 2 and 2 together. That's what the brain's going to do. He lets people's brains work on their own. These other politicians, Jeb Bush, they don't do that. They leave it. They don't leave it in question as to whether or not they're a geek.
You got, according to to what you said on one of the talk shows, you got Hillary Clinton to go to your wedding
That's
because
true.
you gave her
That's
money.
true.
Maybe it works for Hillary Clinton. It
Excuse
doesn't
me,
work
Jeff.
for anybody on
Jeff,
this stage.
I was a
This-
businessman. I got along with Clinton. I got along with everybody.
Yeah.
That was my job, to get along with people.
But the
I didn't
simple
want
fact
to.
is-
Excuse me, 1 second.
No.
I
The
didn't
simple
want to.
fact is,
Jeff,
Donald,
Okay, then starts to get cut off, and what does he do?
You cannot take.
More energy tonight. I like that. Look,
I was asked the
I
question.
didn't want.
And listen carefully here.
It's my
All right, he gets the crowd to laugh. He basically shuts them up. And then he speaks. He doesn't really know what he's going to say. Realize how he started speaking, and then he just recollected himself and then started speaking again. He just spoke in order to get control. This was a very powerful moment for Trump. Okay? Basically told the little beta. I don't like using these terms because some people are like, oh, well, you're talking about this, you're talking about that. I'm using the most basic definition of these terms. Okay? The beta, Jeb, gets told to shut up, essentially. He tries fighting back, but then Trump just, oh, look at this guy, he's a loser, essentially. Then everyone laughs at him. He's like, oh. Then Trump gets a word in just to make sure he's, establishes his presence. Recollects himself, and then he makes a point.
Obligation as a businessman to my family.
And also realize how much Trump repeats himself. How many times did he say businessman? How many times did he say, it's my responsibility to do that type of stuff? Repetition works. And again, the nerds, like, you know what I mean? Like, well, you do know just because you repeat something doesn't make it right. Logically, that's true. The humans don't think logically. You repeat something enough times to a human being, and eventually they're going to start believing it. If they start repeating it in their own head, especially.
To my company, to my employees, to get along with all politicians. I got along.
And I'm going to go over that more later.
And I did a damn good job in doing it. Go ahead.
So, he supports Pelosi.
And just, he's like, all right, you can go now. Listen, loser, you can go now. Then he goes.
He supports Clinton.
Got along with everybody.
And when he asked Florida to have casino gambling, we said no.
Wrong.
We said no, and that's the simple fact. The simple
don't
fact
make things
is,
up, Jeb.
Don't cut me off.
Come
sir.
on, don't make things up.
Don't make things up.
What?
Now, if you break down the interaction logically, you'd say, well, it's either even or Jeb had the edge. But if you look at the human brain, the primal human brain, and you just assess the debates, okay, who's more persuasive, who's going to get more votes off of this? Trump destroyed Jeb. Now, obviously, when you're interacting in regular situations, you don't want to try and destroy other people. That's not a very good idea. But I'm just teaching you the principles of persuasion. What actually persuades people? I'm going to show you 2 more clips. All right. This is a good one. And we're going to hear more repetition. Okay?
You are all talk and no action. What I've seen up here, I mean, first of all, this guy's a choke artist and this guy's a liar. You have a combination.
This guy always goes.
Again, the nerds are going to be like, he just made 2 ad hominem attacks. That is not a logically coherent argument. But the human brain, especially when you repeat, remember, Trump ruined this whole thing with saying, all talk, no action. All these politicians, all talk, no action, over and over and over again. And also, Rubio was a choke artist. That didn't stick as much as Ted Cruz. I mean, Ted Cruz to this day is known as Lying Ted. And I'm going to teach you a lesson here. This is the second thing. Being nice is not the way. I'm not saying go be rude. I'm not saying go up to random people like, you're a liar. You're a choke artist. I'm not saying that. Okay, but being nice is not the way you persuade people. The way you persuade people is by being respected. Okay? There's a lot of different ways to be respected. But keep that in mind. You have to be respected, not be nice. And this is the blue pill thing. And again, I don't really take any of the pills. If anything, I take the Christ pill. But these blue pill people, the people who follow blue pill ideas. Okay, look at blue pill ideas. You're going to see what I mean. These people are like, oh, just be nice and girls are going to like you or not. It doesn't work. Because people aren't going to listen to someone just because they're nice. They're going to listen to them because they're respected or they're respectable. That is what actually persuades people. That's what gets people listening. So yeah, some the nerds like Libtard Lucy. Well, Trump is not very nice and he's using a bunch of ad hominem attacks. This is really bad. Not what convinces people, Libtard Lucy.
You have a combination of factors. He
This is
can't
so
do it for the
typical.
Again, look at his
He can't do it
his
because
hand
he
motions.
doesn't know how to tell the truth.
What we're seeing with Donald is actually the pattern of Washington. The pattern of Washington deals.
Now listen very carefully here. Listen to Ted Cruz's
They break
point.
their words, and then when anyone calls them on it, they call you a liar. And so that's Donald's pattern over and over again. And every time anyone points at Donald's actual record, what he said on national television, Donald yells liar. Let me tell you something. Falsely accusing someone of lying is
ahead, Mr.
itself a
Trump.
lie, and it's something Donald does
Go
daily.
ahead, Mr. Trump.
I watched.
Listen to Ted Cruz's point. Ted Cruz just made the point. This guy, essentially, every time we make a point, he says we're lying, but we actually aren't. And that in and of itself is a lie, making himself a hypocrite. That's essentially Ted Cruz's point. Now listen to that point. Okay, put that point in your brain, right here. Okay, right here. Put it on the right side of your brain. Okay. Now listen to Trump's point. All right, and put that on the left side of your brain, and then compare. Then you're going to see my point here. Whoops, that is a different clip. Okay. No, that's also okay. So I'm clearly an expert at this.
Washington. Anyone calls them on it, and
okay,
so that's
here.
Donald's pattern over and over again. And every time anyone points at Donald's actual record, what he said on national television, Donald yells liar. Let me tell you something. Falsely accusing someone of lying is itself a lie.
I watched.
This is also an important point, okay? A lot of people are like, oh, well, he got applauded against. That's bad. What Trump did was the best thing you could do in that situation. You just wait for a point to be heard. It's very important, okay? If you want to be, in order for anyone to even have the chance to be persuaded by you, you have to make sure they're listening. So always keep that in mind.
The lobbyists. I watched what this man did to Dr. Ben Carson, who I respect, in Iowa, where he said that Ben Carson is out of the race. He has left Iowa, and he's out of the race. And I thought it was disgraceful. And got a lot of votes because of that. A lot of votes took him away from Ben Carson. I watched that. Probably took him away from me, too. But I watched it. I also watched where he did a form that looked like it came right out of a government agency. And it said on top, voter violation. And then it graded you. And it scared the hell out of people. And it said the only way you clear up the violation, essentially, is to go and vote for Ted Cruz. I watched that fraudulent document, and I said it's the worst thing I've ever seen in politics. To me, that was even worse than what he did to Ben.
Senator Cruz.
I know politicians, believe it or not, better than you do, and it's not good.
Remember, you kept the point here. Now listen to Trump's two arguments. You realize Trump didn't actually respond to Ted at all. Ted made the point. When we talk about you, Mr. Trump, okay? You just say we're lying, but we actually aren't lying, so you yourself are lying. Then what does he come back with? Well, you took votes away from Ben Carson by doing your scummy call thing, or campaign did it. And then you had a voter violation thing to get votes too. That doesn't respond at all to Ted. That doesn't refute Ted's point at all. But what did Trump do? Libtard losing, like, well, he didn't refute Ted's point. What did he do instead? He brought up two arguments against Ted Cruz and added persuasive language to it. Worst thing ever seen. Terrible. Disgrace. All these other things. And to things that, at first glance, they seem like they are. And assuming they are true, I don't even know if they're true, to be honest. But assuming they are true, yeah, they would be. The average person's doing that in their head. So they completely forgot, because it's 2 against 1. Right? And it has more loaded language behind it. So everyone's already forgotten about what Ted said. No one's realizing Trump didn't actually respond to Ted. They're just seeing Trump's point like, wow, that's terrible. How could Ted Cruz do that? Always remember that. People aren't logical. Always think in the mind of the average person. You don't actually have to always make a logical point in order to persuade people. All right, for this last clip, I'm going to give you some backstory. Okay, this is going to tell you the power of memeing, because memes are essentially just short ideas that are condensed. So, for example, whatever the Coca-Cola slogan is, okay, that's an example of a meme. A slogan is a meme, okay? That's the most basic version of a meme is. What Trump has done is, as M. Lemon has said, if you know, you know, weaponized memes. And this comes in many different forms, but also in the forms of all the nicknames he gives people. So, Adam Schiff, and if you know, you know what he's going to say, if you know about this whole ordeal. But Adam Schiff made some points against Trump, and they weren't very well founded, but instead of going up and actually giving a formal statement of rebuttal, what does Trump do? Take a wild guess.
Lined up, Adam. You little pencil neck.
And every time I look at Adam Schiff now, And same for a lot of people. Pencil neck. That's what they know him as. Same thing with Ted Cruz. Lying Ted Cruz. This is how you persuade people.
The smallest shirt collar you can get, and it's loose.
If you really want to persuade people, you have to pound an idea into their head. Okay? The best way to do that is via memes. So if you want to paint someone out as being a liar or being a bad candidate, and remember, this is within politics. They're just playing the game here, right? Lying Ted Cruz, lying Ted, lying Ted, lying Ted, lying Ted. You repeat that enough, it's going to become reality. He's going to be seen as lying Ted forever. And that's what happened to Ted Cruz. He's still known as lying Ted to this day. How many years later? 8 years later, to this day, still lying Ted. Adam Schiff, still pencil neck Adam Schiff. You apply the same idea to your own. Let's say you have a business, okay? Create a slogan that is very easy to remember. So let's say, I think StockX. No, that's not a good example. Look at company slogans. And actually, no, let's look at Trump. Okay, Trump is actually a great example of this. Make America great again. Again, libtard Lucy. Well, just because a slogan sounds good, just because it's memorable, doesn't mean it's actually a good slogan. Or, excuse me, what's behind the slogan is actually good. Doesn't matter. Make America great again. Very catchy. And it leaves, again, to mystery. People can think, well, what is making America great again? And they can come up with the idea in their own head. Use memes. Use repetition. This is how you actually persuade people. Trump is a masterclass of proper persuasion while making libtard Lucy mad. Christian men need to become more persuasive. If you want to join this movement building by Christian men, link in descriptions to the Discord. Follow me on Instagram. Like all my posts because my Instagram is amazing because I'm amazing. Subscribe for more amazing videos. Check the playlist description to change your life. Those are my call to actions. See you next video.